Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Blake, there's some pretty good series this weekend. Rolling into it. Red Sox take two of three from my Halos. I was there on Friday night. Pretty good atmosphere. With a team with not much expectation. It was actually a pretty good series up till the last game. Red Sox blew out the Angels there, but rolling through this thing, KC swept the White Sox. No surprise there. I believe that was their home opener series. Texas is up two of three right now in that series. Sunday night baseball tonight. Houston won their first game of the series. Tomorrow, Monday, they'll finish that up. So we don't have a result of that one yet. Yankees take two of three from your Jays, and
Hmm.
yeah, it seemed like a dominant performance by the Yankees, but in that first game, I believe they got shut out, correct? So
Yeah, 3-0.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then a surprising series here. The A's
Yeah.
take two of three from the Tigers, who were rolling. The Tigers were
Yeah.
rolling up until that point.
Yep.
So, and then lastly in the AL, Guards take the first two games, and the last game has been postponed for a later date. So
Yep.
we'll have to wait for that one, but they will win the series regardless.
Yep.
Heading in the National League, go for it.
Yeah. Phillies took 2 of 3 from the Nats. Not really much of a surprise there. Mets take 2 of 3 from Cincinnati. So the Mets all of a sudden, winners of four in a row, kind of rolling. San Fran came back in the third game to win the series over the Padres. The Cardinals take 2 of 3 from the Marlins, who did finally get on the board with the first win of the season. It's a disaster start for them. The Braves swept the D-backs, but that was a really close series. Extra inning game. A little bit of a blunder by Gurriel in left field kind of allowed the Braves to come back in that one. And then the Cubs take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. So that might be a surprise to some people. The Dodgers finally lose the series, but why don't you go over the interleague series?
Yeah, and then in the interleague, the Rays took two of three from the Rockies in that series. It easily could have been two of three from the Rockies, with the Rays losing the first game, but the Rockies hit a walk-off grand slam,
Yeah.
and the Rockies blew the last two games. So
Yeah.
that series was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rays really almost got swept by the Rockies. So um, they haven't looked like themselves, at least in my opinion, up until this point. So
Hmm.
something to monitor there. And then Milwaukee took two of three from Seattle. It was a pretty good series, but I believe there was one blowout in there. And then
Yep.
Pittsburgh took two of three from the O's. Two walk-off wins it took to take this series for the Pirates, and they're rolling. So wrapping up this week, my record sits at 24 and 18 and 1. Not great. And Blake's at 31, 11 and 1. He hit on the Cubs beating the Dodgers. He hit on San Francisco winning their home opener against San Diego.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, and then we lost pretty much all the rest
Yep.
together. We won together. So
Yep. Yep.
oh, he also hit on um
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh beating Baltimore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's old news. We're on to this new week.
Yep.
So
New week. Fresh start.
yeah, fresh start here. So heading into next week, first things we got Seattle against your Jays.
Yeah.
And for this one, it's going to be Castillo, Kirby, and Gilbert against Barrios, Bass, and Kikuchi. And that seems like it's going to be like a tough go for your Jays.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Jays to win this series. The home opener, they've been on the road 10 straight. Um, it'd be good to get back home, but I mean it's gonna be a grind. I mean, Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, that's 1, 2, 3 versus I mean, it's good pitching matchups, don't get me wrong, but it's a tale of two struggling offenses. So it's something's got to break eventually here for these two teams. Somebody's got to win the damn game, right? So I don't know what's gonna happen here. It's either the Jays offense is gonna score some runs or it's gonna be hard sledding to win games because the pitching is gonna be so taxed and it's super stressful when the offense can't score runs. It's super hard on the pitching. So it's got to get going to hurry or their season's gonna be lost before it even began.
Long story short, I'm going with Seattle. In my opinion, they beat them in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it seems like they kind of have their number. Heading into the next one, we have the White Sox versus the Guardians. Um, I'm gonna say it again. I don't know who's picking the White Sox to win these series. I'm definitely not. The Guardians are rolling right now. Tanner Bybee's on the mound for one of the games.
Yeah.
It's TBD versus Logan Allen, Mike Soroka versus TBD, and then Fetty versus Bybee. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Guardians. I don't think there's much to be said there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Guardians too. This team's off to a really good start, and I mean it's kind of their division to lose. Them or the Twins. We'll see who stays the most healthy, in my opinion, right?
Yep. And this next one, we got Tampa going to the Angels. It's going to be Eflin versus Anderson, Savali versus Sandoval, and Littell versus Canning. Canning has not looked good. Littell has looked good, so I would take Tampa on that day. Savali's looked good. Sandoval had, I believe, 6 innings, 1 run against the Marlins. His second start just got beat up against the O's.
Hmm.
Tyler Anderson shoved 7 innings, no runs. So I don't know what Tyler Anderson we're getting, if we're getting the Dodgers Tyler Anderson or just, the other years of Tyler Anderson versus Zach Eflin, who was really good last year. So as far as the pitching matchups go, I would probably give the edge to Tampa.
Hmm.
But as far as scoring runs, I would go with the Angels. I'm gonna stick with the Halos on this one. They've been playing well. They were going into this game 5-4.
Hmm.
They swept Miami. They lost 2 of 3 to Boston. It was a very competitive series, and then they took 1 of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles, who are one of the best teams in the league. So I'm gonna go with the Angels on this one. They're at home, and yeah, I think I'm gonna rock with them for at least this series.
I got Tampa in this series. They got their top three starters going. Littell has been really good. Their offense has struggled a lot. I'm with you on there. The Angels do have a better offense in them, but I like the pitching matchups for the Rays in that series.
Yeah. Then we have Baltimore going to Boston. It's going to be Boston's home opener at Fenway. We have Cole Irvin versus Brian Bayo, Corbin Burns versus Pavetta, and Grayson Rodriguez versus Cutter Crawford. I'm gonna go with the O's in this series. I just saw the Red Sox this past weekend, like I said, and they can hit the fastball very well. They
Mhm.
hit the fastball against the Angels all weekend long. Um, but Trevor Story did get injured this past weekend on a diving play. That's a big blow to this Red Sox team. I just think the firepower of the O's is going to be too tough to overcome. Plus, they're coming off of a tough series against Pittsburgh. I think they're going to bounce back against Boston.
Yeah, I got the Orioles in this one too. Wouldn't be surprised if it was a 3-game sweep because yeah, I know it's their home opener, but um the Orioles are far better pitching team than the Red Sox. Although Pavetta has been really good to start the season.
Yeah. Then we got Houston taking on KC. This is going to be after their series with the Rangers
Yeah.
concludes. It's going to be Christian Javier versus Cole Reagans, Hunter Brown versus Seth Lugo, and JP France versus Brady Singer. I'm going to go with Houston in this one. They've had a slow start. Kansas City's had a good start to the season,
Hmm.
but they're not playing the White Sox anymore. They're playing the Houston Astros. So they're finally going to play a team of this caliber outside of their division.
Yep.
And I think Houston's going to take this series and get back on track.
I'm going to take KC in this series. This is actually a really intriguing series, like pitching wise matchup. I mean, you got Cole Ragans, who's been nasty. Lugo's been surprisingly good, and Brady Singer, who is building off of a strong season that he had last year going into 2024. So, this is going to be a big test for the Royals, and I think they get it done.
Yep. Next, we have Oakland going into Texas. Texas is rolling right now, and they're going to beat up on the A's who sit in the basement right now. Um, and all of the MLB, they're just so bad. I mean, it's going to be Alex Wood versus Eovaldi, Stripling versus Bradford, and Sears versus Gray. Honestly, I think those 3 pitchers, they have their work cut out with Texas Rangers lineup.
Yeah.
But my big concern for the A's is who's going to score runs for them. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just being pretty blunt about it. So, um, much like the rest of the season, I'm sure we'll be taking anybody against the A's.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Texas in this one.
Although the A's, like we mentioned, did just win the first series of the season. Zach Geloff had a big game today. He went 4 for 5 with a homer, 3 RBIs. So that's a good sign that he's picking up where he left off last year. But I'm going to take the Rangers in this one.
Yep. And the next one we have Milwaukee versus the Reds. This is going to be probably one of my favorite series. going into this week. It's going to be Aaron Ashby versus Graham Ashcraft, the first game.
Yeah.
Joe Ross versus Frankie Montas, and then TBD versus Hunter Green.
A 4 game
I'm
series
gonna,
too. Peralta's in the going game 4
yeah,
too.
that's right. 4 game
Peralta.
series.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the split here. I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be a very competitive series. The Reds are at home. They seem to slug at home,
Hmm.
as they do in other years, but especially this year. So I'm gonna take a split in this series,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna take a split as well. Aaron Ashby, this is his first start in 2 years, so interesting to see kind of how far he's built up. And obviously, you got your ace going to game 4, so that would be a really intriguing series as well.
yep. And we have the Mets going into Atlanta. Atlanta's pretty much owned them the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It's going to be Julio Teheran making his first start of the season against Charlie Morton, who's been a workhorse.
Hmm.
Adrian Hauser versus Reynaldo Lopez, and Jose Quintana versus TBD. And I believe that was supposed to be
Strider.
Spencer Strider. But if I had to guess, it would probably be Bryce Elder. They
Yeah.
have him just sitting, waiting for his opportunity. With that said, I'm going to take Atlanta over the Mets.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Atlanta too. Tough break for the Braves with the news on Strider. You never like to see that. There's been a lot of pitching injuries to start this year, and it's you never like to see that stuff. But I'm gonna take the Braves as well.
Yep. And then we have the Phillies going into St. Louis. St. Louis did drop the last game to the Marlins. To be honest, I know that they've bolstered back their pitching. We haven't seen Sonny Gray yet.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm kind of in between on the cards. Um, I'm gonna take the Phillies in this series. Seem like they're starting to get on track now.
Yeah.
It is gonna be Turnbull versus Mikolas, Wheeler versus Thompson, and Nola versus Lynn. I like Wheeler and Nola, as
Yeah.
would anybody
Yeah.
against this team. And then Lance Lynn and Miles Mikolas just haven't gotten it done up until
Right.
this point. So,
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I'm gonna take the Phillies as well. The Cardinals have been kind of meh. You know what I mean? Like they've
yep,
showed some promise in a few games, but they've lost some lopsided games as well. So yeah, they're kind of just a roller coaster for me to start this season.
yep. And then we have the D-backs going into Colorado. This could be a sweep here. Gallen versus Freeland, Kelly versus Quantrill, and Henry versus Gomber.
Yeah.
They've already played once this season. Arizona absolutely destroyed them. They're coming off of a tough week where they just played New York and Atlanta back to back,
Hmm.
and they won 1 game last week. I think they're going to get on track. They're going to beat up on their division rival here. Um, and yeah, I'm going to take the D-backs in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the D-backs as well. Although they only won 1 game, there's a lot of positives to take from last week if you're a Braves fan, or pardon me, a D-backs fan. A lot of close games. Like they were in almost every single one of those games. So they're definitely on the right track.
Yep. Then we have the Cubs going into San Diego. It's Javier Assad against Yu Darvish, TBD versus Joe Musgrove, and Kyle Hendricks versus Dylan Cease. I I like what the Cubs are doing. They just
Hmm.
beat the Dodgers 2 of 3. San Diego hasn't looked great, but I'm gonna rely on the pitching to get them through these games. Darvish, Musgrove, and Cease, pairing up against Hendricks, who's he's been a workhorse over these past couple of years, but he does only throw 88 to 90, and he has to live on the corners to make it happen. I just think that the Padres pitching is going to be too much, but I could also see the Cubs winning the series. I was kind of torn on this one, but I am going to take the Padres.
Yeah, I was kind of in the middle too, because like I picked the Cubs to beat the Dodgers last week or last series, but yeah, it's hard to go against Darvish, Musgrove, and Cease, the 1, 2, 3, like you mentioned. I'm gonna go with the Padres as well.
Then we have the Nats heading into San Francisco. Trevor Williams versus Blake Snell is making his Giants debut.
Yeah.
Josiah Gray, who has looked terrible to start the season,
Hmm.
against Kyle Harrison. And then Patrick Corbin versus Jordan Hicks, who's looked disgusting as he's moved as to a starting role. So I'm gonna go with the Giants here.
Yeah.
To add, obviously the Nationals offense and full team is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Giants, but I am excited to see Blake Snell on the mound. And I think I'll be tuning into that Jordan Hicks because he's been that good to start the season.
Yeah, he's been electric. I'm gonna take the Giants as well. Interesting to see what Blake Snell looks like in Giants uniform. and I'll take the Giants.
Yep. In our first interleague matchup, we have Miami versus the Yankees. Miami just won their first game today. They're 1-9. They also pulled away extension from their manager,
Yeah.
which is a weird scenario there. But it's gonna be Lazardo versus Cortez. I could see them winning that one. AJ Puck just hasn't thrown enough strikes. He's walking way too many guys against Carlos Rodon. And then Ryan Weathers versus Marcus Stroman. The Yankees are obviously a much better team than the Marlins, and they're at home. I'm gonna take the Yankees.
I'm gonna take the Yankees too. Stroman was lights out against the Blue Jays in that his first start in the Bronx. I'm gonna look for him to build on his strong start in a Yankee uniform.
Yep. And we have Detroit going into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's looked really good up until this point. It's going to be Reese Olson versus Mitch Keller, Casey Mize versus Martin Perez. It's only a two-game set. I am going to take Pittsburgh. Um, I think they're just going to keep rolling, and Detroit just came off of a loss of the A's. I just don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't feel comfortable taking even a split here.
I took the easy way. I picked the split. I I could see them winning that first game or the second game there. But although like Keller not off to a great start to his season, but Martin Perez has been a pretty good bright spot for the Pirates this year.
Yep. And lastly, we have the Dodgers going into Minnesota. I'm wondering what the weather's gonna be like since they got postponed today. Hopefully that clears up because this is
Yeah.
gonna be a tough one to make up. If not,
Hmm.
I assume they would do some type of doubleheader, but it's gonna be James Paxton versus Louis Varland, Tyler Glasnow versus Chris Paddock, and Bobby Miller versus Pablo Lopez. Miller had a really solid first start, and then he got banged up a little bit by the Cubs. Glasnow's looked really good through his three starts. Um, I'm gonna take the Dodgers to win this series. I don't see them losing back-to-back series. And then I just think the pitching and overall the offense is just gonna be too much for this Twins rotation.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Dodgers as well. Bobby Miller's been he got touched up a little bit in his last start, but he's been electric to start the year, just throwing 99 to 100. James Paxton, interested to see kind of what he does this year. He's kind of on a little 1 year deal until, well, he's kind of basically a fill-in until they get all their guys back, right? So it'll be interesting to see like what kind of how his role develops as this year goes on. But yeah, it is very cold in Minnesota right now. Believe they got some snow down there, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yep. That's gonna wrap it up for this week. You're looking at our predictions for the week as a whole. Hopefully I can get my record a little bit better than what it is. Blake's killing it up to this point. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.